part of knowing what the Bible is and developing a doctrine of Scripture involves recognizing the end or the point or the goal or the telos of Scripture. That means we need to understand what God hopes to accomplish with Scripture, the Bible. As we noted in the week's lectures, there's a number of ways that God could have revealed things to us, including, for example, natural revelation. But part of it has been special revelation. And so there's a question then, what is the point? This is an incredibly important thing that we have to answer, because once you know the point, then you can judge how it is that one reading is better than another. You can start to decide whether or not it's possible for multiple right readings. There's a lot of things that filter out of your answer to this question. Because if your answer to the question, what is the point of the Bible, is to give us all the facts we need to know. If that's your answer to that question, like God, is creating a fact book and gave it to us, it's the Bible. Well, then you know that what makes an interpretation good or bad is whether or not that interpretation gives us more facts about, more moral facts or more theological facts. This is who God is. This is what He does, and that's it. And then you can judge every reading based on whether or not it accomplishes that goal. Now, a number of you picked up on different possibilities for the end, telos, goal of Scripture, what Scripture is about. It could be a lot of things. The double love command. Scripture is meant to form us as loving people. Scripture is meant to restore us and make us whole. You might say save us. Scripture is meant to create union with God. Scripture is the vehicle, the principal vehicle, means by which God makes it so that we share God's life, God's divine life, as fully as possible in this life, and then so that it's just a real small leap into the next. And so when we hit the next life, we are ready and we are complete, we are whole, and we are participating union with the divine. It's a kind of an Eastern Orthodox, Greek Orthodox notion, very strongly founded in the patristic period. But once you've made that choice, then you are able to make good, sound judgments about whether or not this or that interpretation is way off the reservation. And then something like this. Sometimes you see people say, "Well, what about these imprecatory psalms? The psalm where it's 117, Psalm 117, I think, dash their babies' heads against maybe 137, whatever it is. It asks, it says how great it is when the infants of our enemies, our heads are broken open against the stones. Horrible imagery, just rough, right? Well, once we know what the goal of the Bible is, then we're able to make sense of different readings of that psalm. So if, for example, the goal of the Bible is to form us into loving people, to share the divine life, well, then one thing you might say about that psalm is it's not actually advocating the murder of children, infants. Actually, what it's doing is it's giving human beings an opportunity and a right and a role to pour out even their deepest, darkest longings, and saying, God, you can handle this. And then saying, God, once it's in your court, once I've put these dark things onto you, now you take care of it, you deal with it, and I'll be freed up. I've released it to you, so I'm free to, again, get back to that whole loving thing. Right? So that's how you might interpret an imprecatory psalm if you understand the purpose of Scripture as to form us as loving people. And then if you have that telos, that goal in mind, you're able to say, well, an interpretation that says let's go out and kill our enemies' children, nope, that's out of bounds. That won't work, even though it seems very much in keeping with what a literal interpretation of the psalm. So whatever we do, we really, really, really have to get down to a deep understanding of what we think the Bible is trying to accomplish in our lives, or at all. Period. Personally, I think that I think formation is what the Bible is there for. I think that theme is found throughout the tradition from the very beginning, and I think honestly you can't get through much of the Scriptures without recognizing that the people writing them expect their words to have an impact on the lives and bearing and formation of the people who hear or read. So I think not only do the Scriptures testify, I think the tradition does too. And when both of those things are in alignment, I think we've got some good standard, good evidence that we're on the right track.